The only thing connecting you to the road are these two black rings of rubber that we wrap our wheels in. And they have a contact patch of something about the same size as what? A McDonald's hash brown. So today we're going to take a look at tyres, how you can go about reading the markings and the hieroglyphs all over the sidewalls, and ensure that you pick the right ones for your bike and your riding style. So let's get to it. First off, let's discuss how much tyres actually matter. Because they're more than just disposable bits of sticky rubber that you have to change and pay an exorbitant amount for every few years. They're interacting with your brakes, they're interacting with your steering and your suspension, they're dictating how much grip you've got on that particular stretch of road, and occasionally they're the only thing between you and that 10-foot slide on your arse into the nearest ditch. So let's get into some of the basics. In the UK, the law states that you need at least 1 millimetre of tread across 3/4 of the tyre. So that's not actually a lot when you think about it. When you actually see what 1 millimetre of tread looks like, this one's pretty cooked and has right on the wear bars 1 millimetre of tread, you realise that it's not actually that much tread. So let's start with the basics. How do you go about reading all of the hieroglyphs that are on the side of these bike tyres? So for example, this particular one, let me find the markings, spin it round just here. This is a 120/70 ZR17 58W. What does that even mean? So the first number, 120, that indicates the tyre's width in millimetres, so the width across the top of the tyre. The 70, that's the aspect ratio. So that means how high is the sidewall, and it's dictated as 70% of the width. So you have to do a bit of maths to work out the height of it. So it's a mathematical equation, 70% of the width. ZR17, well, the Z, that just means the tyre's been tested to exceed the minimum performance speeds of about 149 miles per hour. It just indicates that this is a high performance tyre and can withstand speeds of up to 149 miles per hour or more. The R then dictates the fact that this tyre is a radial tyre, which means it's the construction, the way that the metal rods and so forth, the metal bands and stuff in the tyre are put together. And we'll cover that in more detail a little bit later. 17 is the diameter of the wheel, so how big the wheel is on the bike. The 58W that you also see on the side of the tyre, well, that's your load index and the actual speed rating. So there's kind of two markings to indicate the tyre speed ratings. So there's plenty of tables out there on the internet that you can have a look at to translate what the 58W means or what your markings mean, because they're all marked differently. But in this particular case, 58W means that this single tyre, one single tyre, can hold 236 kilograms, I believe, of load, and is rated to a speed of 168 miles per hour maximum before it'll start to melt and turn into like a black sticky custard. And then finally, the last marking on the sidewall is MC, and that obviously stands for motorcycle, not car or wheelbarrow. Finally, you might find some other markings on there as well. You'll find the rotation, and obviously that dictates which way the tyre is going to rotate when it's fitted to the bike. You'll also find markings such as tubeless or tubed. That indicates if the tyre can be run without an inner tube or whether it needs an inner tube. And then there's also the DOT code. So this is 4-digit code which indicates the week and the year that the tyre was manufactured. So in this case, it's 3917, and that translates to the 39th week of 2017. Also, you can have a look out for other things on the bike's tyre as well. So inside the tread, you'll see these TWI markings. These are your tyre wear indicators, these little kind of rubber blocks within the tread. When your tyre reaches that level, then you know it's time for new rubber. It's time to change them, which is why I've swapped mine out, because this hit the TWI marks and it was definitely time. It's all squared off and horrible, so it's definitely time to start looking for a new tyre. So how do you go about picking the right tyres? Well, it's important to try and think of them as, let's think of them as shoes. Sports tyres like these are like running shoes. They're super sticky, capable of being really fast in the right hands, but they will wear out quickly because they're made of a really soft compound. Then you've got sports touring tyres. These are like a pair of Vans trainers. So again, they're very comfortable, decent amounts of grip, comfortable for everyday use, and will last a lot longer than a sports tyre. But you'll find you probably can't go running at your full speed in them because you'll find that they're quite uncomfortable. Then you've got touring tyres. These are like, sensible brogues. So they're built for mileage, built for wearing around the office. They're not a sexy tyre, but they will last a long time and they're good for commuting in. Then you've got adventure tyres. These are like the hiking boots of the shoe world. They're good for the road, they're grippy, but you're not going to find yourself wanting to wear them around town all day because you might find they're a bit stiff and a bit uncomfortable. But they're ideal for doing things like off-roading and going hiking and trekking. And then you've got your cruiser tyres as well, big, chunky, massive things. These are basically like slippers. Big, wide, comfortable, heavy tyres, and probably your granddad's going to absolutely love them. So onto construction. I've mentioned the R, that stands for radial. And this is what we're going to talk about, radial versus bias, I think it is. And it sounds quite boring, but it really does matter. So radial tyres, which is what these are modern tyres. These are what most new bikes come fitted with from new. They flex nicely, as you'll see. They've got a nice bit of bend and stuff in them, so they absorb bumps well, they run much cooler, and they handle speeds better. That's why most modern bikes are fitted with these from factory. Bias Ply, this is older technology. So they've got a much stiffer sidewall. They're sort of designed around cruisers and classic bikes and stuff, so you still can get them, but they are, like I say, older tech these days and should be reserved for those vintage bikes or those larger cruisers that need to take a little bit more weight and don't go as fast as your sports bikes or your nakeds. When it comes to mixing tyres, you shouldn't really go about mixing radials with Bias Ply tyres. It's like putting, sticking with the shoe analogy, it's like putting a stiletto on one foot and then a flip-flop on the other. You're going to look really stupid. And the bike's going to handle terribly. It's not really a recommended practice to mix radials with Bias Ply. Although, saying that, I have done some research into this, and some bikes do actually come from manufacturers with a mixed setup. So I guess it's always useful to check the manufacturer's handbook for what's recommended for your particular bike, because it may vary from bike to bike. Mine recommends radial tyres, and because it's a naked sports bike, it recommends going for a sports tyre, which is why I have fitted the exact same tyres I've just taken off to my bike. Okay, so now onto compound. We'll use the large tyre to show you this because it's better to see. Modern tyres are multi-compound. You'll find that they've got a harder compound in the centre of the tyre and then these soft sidewalls, which allows for, when you tip the bike in and you get some lean angle onto it, this softer sidewall gives you additional grip compared to the harder middle. And the harder middle is there to try and get extra wear and tear out of the tyre. So when you're riding on motorways and so forth or commuting, this wears better. Then we've also got profiles to talk about. So that's all about the shape of the tyre and the design of it. Pointy tyres, like this is meant to be, this would actually be a lot taller when it was new. These are designed for sports riding. They're easier to tip in. So when you get to a corner, easier to kind of tip in and lean over because you've got this high arch. I'll show you an example on the screen now of what this should look like on the brand new ones. But you'll find they tip in much easier, roll off of that centre nicely, and allow you to get from side to side and get onto that stickier compound when riding. Whereas rounder tyres, more like your sports tourers and stuff, they're a bit more lazy in the corners, but they've got a nice even roll off when you're trying to tip the bike in. Next, we need to talk about pressure. That's important as well. You should always check your tyre pressure when it's cold. If you're riding the bike regularly all year round, then check them every couple of weeks. And if you're more of a fair weather rider, riding it between like weeks and stuff goes between each ride, then give yourself 10 minutes to check the tyre pressures before every single ride, because you never know when the bike's been sat in storage. It might have started to lose a bit of pressure, so it's always worth checking every time you ride. Underinflated tyres are wobbly and won't be very nice to ride on, and overinflated tyres, they're a bit more bouncy and a bit more rock hard. You'll get a bit more jitter through the suspension. So both of them are bad, just in different ways. So it's ideal that you need to check your tyre pressures. And again, check the user manual or look on your headstock. You might find a sticker that tells you the exact tyre pressures your bike needs. Tyres age as well. That's why there's a DOT code on them. So rubber hardens with time. 5 or 6 years is the recommended limit for most tyres. If you've got cracks or bulges in the sidewalls, then it's probably time to get those tyres swapped out, get them binned, and get yourself a new set of tyres fitted to the bike as well. And remember, once you've had new tyres fitted, they're going to need a break-in period. They've got releasing agents all over the top of the rubber, all over that coating, which helps them kind of be pulled out of the moulds when they're manufactured. So for the first 60 to 100 miles, you don't want to be riding at full tilt and riding like you normally do. Take it easy, scrub them in, and make sure you've taken that coating off of the top of them, that nice shiny coating. And eventually then you can start easing yourself into riding how you used to on your old tyres. Finally, mixing tyres. This is another point that I want to mention. There's a big debate around all this. Can you run different tyres, front and rear, from different manufacturers? Well, technically, yes, you can. Obviously, if you're stuck in a fix and you need to do that, then you can do that. And lots of people do it. But should you? Ideally, the answer is no, because manufacturers design these tyres in pairs to work in unison with each other. And mixing tyres can have a radical effect on the way that bike handles. So it could mean that the bike ends up being a bit more unstable at high speeds. It might put you in a situation you don't want to be in, and yourself and your bike could end up getting hurt. How do you go about actually buying the right tyre? Well, let's summarise. I'll give you a little checklist. The first thing you want to do is make sure you have a look in your owner's manual for the tyre sizes. Look what's already on the bike. double check it against the owner's manual, and make sure you pick the correct size by reading the markings on the side of the tyre. Also, double check the load and speed index, make sure it fits within the bike's brief, make sure it's within the manufacturer's tolerances. You can fit a tyre with a higher load rating and a higher speed rating, but you should never go lower. Make sure you pick the right type of tyre for your riding. As I mentioned, go back and have a think about what kind of riding you want to do. Is it sports tyres? Is it touring tyres? Is it cruising tyres? What are you looking for? Remember not to mix radial and bias, as I mentioned. And finally, have a think about how you're going to go about fitting the bikes. Do you need to budget for someone to take the wheels off for you and fit them and balance them all up and put them on the bike? Or are you going to go down the road of investing in your own tools and learn how to do it yourself DIY? There is a video on my channel. I've spent a day fitting these with a friend of mine, going through it all, showing you the tools you need, how to go about doing it, and how involved it is. You can click the pop-up banner at the top of the screen. I will warn you, it's a long video. It's more of a vlog of me and my friend just having a bit of a laugh on the day, getting these bad boys fitted to the bike. Go check it out, find out if it's something you want to take on yourself or whether actually you want to budget to take them to a shop and have someone do it for you. So there you have it then, tyres. In a nutshell, they're simple in theory, but infinitely complicated in practice. But now you know how to go about reading all the hieroglyphs on the sidewall, how to pick the right ones for you, and how not to get stitched up in the shop by buying the latest and greatest or whatever the internet's told you to pick. If you've liked this video, if you've learned something, if you've enjoyed just watching me yammer on about motorcycles, then don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. I'm enjoying watching it grow. And don't forget to go over to Instagram and find me on there as well. And if you've got any questions about tyres, how to go about fitting them, yeah, drop a comment below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you very much for watching. Cheers. That'll do. Tyres, done.